The nausea, the fatigue, the hair loss, the side effects of cancer treatment were just too much for a young man, 16-year-old Billy Best, to endure. So last month he ran away from home after being told that he was going to need 4 more months of chemotherapy for Hodgkin's disease, a cancer that is 80% curable if fully treated. Billy's parents, William and Susan Best, have made public pleas for their son to return home, and they're joining us now from their home in Norwell, Massachusetts. Appreciate both of you joining us. Mrs. Best, let me start with you. Just for those who aren't familiar with the story, how many days has he been gone now?
It was just 3 weeks ago yesterday.
Have you had any contact at all?
He has phoned us a few times to let us know that he is safe.
So you know he's all right. Is he living with someone, or is he living in a shelter, or do you know where he's living?
At this point, we do know he is staying with a family, and he is in a home.
But you want him to return voluntarily?
Yes, we do. We have begged him to come home, and he indicated in his last conversation that he is ready to come home soon.
Mr. Best, did you have any hint when he got the message from the doctors that he was going to need more treatment, that something like this might happen?
No, it was a complete surprise to both of us. In fact, his attitude was real good, and we were surprised at how well his attitude was, and then he just left, and so it shocked both of us when he did it.
The treatment had been working. Physically, it was having good effect, but I gather psychologically it wasn't.
That's what we suspect now. He's kind of closed-mouthed. He would never tell us what was going on, and the side effects must have been a lot worse than we thought.
Side effects psychologically?
Yes.
Mrs. Best, all this brings up the issue, I guess, to what extent teenagers, to what extent a 16-year-old boy ought to have decision-making powers in his own treatment, what kind of input he might have. Where do you stand about that, and have your feelings changed any since he's been gone?
My feelings, yes, have changed. I guess in that I didn't realize how strongly Bill felt. I feel if he felt this strongly to run away from home, then he certainly has to have a say and a decision in his treatment.
So what have you said to him when you've had these phone contacts about what will happen if he comes home?
We've both promised him that he can decide on the treatment. We would like him to look through all the different information we received and talk with some of the many people who have called who have been through the same Hodgkin's disease. But after that, we would like him to make a decision. Mr.
Best, in the introduction to this segment, I said that Billy's cancer is 80% curable if fully treated. How dangerous or how much of a concern is it that there is no treatment and has not been any treatment undergone for the last 3 weeks?
Well, there's definitely a concern for us and also for our doctors. The problem we have here is, excuse me, they have no data that they can tell us going through just 2 months of the 6-month program what this means. So it's sort of up in the air right now.
Do they know if it might make it necessary that there be more treatment than what they had originally thought, given the fact that he's gone untreated for this period of time?
Well, we don't know. We have talked to them a number of times in the latest conversation. They feel that maybe they can do just radiation without the chemotherapy now, and we hope that might be it.
Mrs. Best, when you look back on it, was there anything that you might have done, could have done, think you should have done to prevent something like this from happening?
A lot of things in looking back. The biggest thing would be to insist on Billy getting into a support group and talking with other people who have gone through the same thing.
Mr. Best, this is tough because, first of all, cancer is a matter that obviously brings a family together and gets them talking, and then you have to go through the agony of having a runaway child to boot about all this. It's tough to do all this in public. I know it helps perhaps to talk in public to ask Billy to come back, but tough to do in public because it puts family matters right out there in front of everybody.
Yeah, it really is. We really agonized for a while before we decided to go with the media, and our son is very quiet, and most people, even his friends, didn't know he had cancer, but now everyone does. But it had to be done to find him.
Well, I hope it works to good results and that your son is home soon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Best of after the hour, and now an update on Billy Best, the Massachusetts teenager you may recall, who last month captured the nation's attention when he ran away from home. It was the harsh side effects of chemotherapy that caused the 16-year-old to flee, ultimately, all the way to Houston. Billy, you may recall, has Hodgkin's disease, a type of cancer that is 80% curable if fully treated. Well, just over a week ago, you may recall, I spoke with Billy's parents about their son, who was at that time missing. But you want him to return voluntarily?
Yes, we do. We have begged him to come home, and he indicated in his last conversation that he is ready to come home soon.
3 days after the Bests appeared on Good Morning America, Billy did return home. In an exclusive morning interview, Billy joins us now, along with his parents and sister Jenny, and it's good to have all of you with us. It was a nice Thanksgiving?
Yes, it was.
I'll bet it was. Good Thanksgiving. Help me understand what you did and why you did it. You'd gone through a considerable period of treatment for the cancer, right? And as I understand it, the treatments had gone well, and that you were pretty close to being done with the treatments.
Yeah, I went through 2 months, and I didn't get too sick, but the treatments didn't really make me feel too good.
It's hard for anybody who hasn't gone through it to understand, because I've talked to people who have done it, and it is, I understand, very uncomfortable. You never really feel very good, right?
Right.
But when you've gone that far, and you're close to having this thing whipped, why take off then?
I didn't want to keep going through the treatments for the next 4 or 5 months, and I knew what it was going to be like.
Were you saying, by running away, was it in your mind, no more, I don't want any more treatments, or was it, I need some time to think about this, I need some space, don't push me now?
It was, no more treatments at all, but after I was talking to my parents, they convinced me to come back home.
Convinced you to come back home, or convinced you to have more treatments?
Convinced me to come back home.
Without treatments?
Without treatments.
Even if you're risking your life doing that?
That's right.
Why? But that's what's hard for people to understand. If it's a chance to cure yourself, and if you could be in greater jeopardy without the treatments, why not do it?
Just knowing what was going inside me every time I got the treatments, I couldn't deal with that every other Friday for the next months to come.
Even if it puts your life at greater jeopardy? Have you talked to the doctors since you've been back?
Yeah.
What are they urging you to do?
They want me to continue with the chemotherapy and radiation, or other conventional methods of treatment.
Have they convinced you?
They haven't convinced me to do anything yet.
But you're thinking about it?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Well, it's a hard situation for us, you know, and we want to closely monitor his health. So, but really, it's going to be up to Billy as to what he wants to do.
And that was the deal if he came home?
That was the deal.
Did you say that to him on the phone? Come on back and the decision's yours.
We did.
But obviously there are family discussions about all this. And the position of mom and dad, for instance, after you saw the doctors the other day, was?
We eventually came to the point where we asked Bill to be reevaluated, which is considerable testing. And he is going to do that. We'll see where the cancer is. And we've talked about radiation.
Instead of chemotherapy?
Yes.
Right. But the decision is still his. But I mean, are you urging him to do one thing or the other? Is there I remember my mom and dad, they never, as much trouble as we got in, they were never bashful about giving me their opinions.
Well, that's right, and we weren't either in the beginning. That's why, one of the reasons why, or the reason why Billy left in the beginning, because we told him what to do. So this time, he definitely needs a bigger say in what's going to happen. We like to give him input, but he will be the final one as to which way he's going to go.
Older sister, away at college, through all of this. Is this a time for good sisterly advice, or is this a time when an older sister keeps her mouth shut?
I think I mostly kept my mouth shut.
Yeah? Has it been hard being away? I mean, this is your freshman year in college, right?
Yeah, it's been hard. I just mostly tried to not think about it, and I kept myself really detached. Did a lot of praying. I mean, in between classes, walking to classes, just that he'd be safe wherever he was. And when he came home, just that he'd have a level head, you know, and just think of what's best for him.
During that period of time when Billy was gone, did you talk to him at all?
No, a couple times we thought he'd called, but it wasn't him, so I didn't talk to him at all.
Now, your folks live in Massachusetts. How'd you get to Houston?
I took a Greyhound bus.
With your skateboard under your arm, huh?
Well, it was in my bag. It was in my bag.
That skateboard is a pretty good way to meet people.
Yes.
So it was other skateboarders that you met and wound up living with some folks down there?
Yeah.
Do you have any sense, Billy, at this point, what you're going to do? You go through the reevaluation. Are you open to the idea at this point of more treatment, or is your thought still at this point you'd rather forego any other treatment?
I'm just letting them give me other options and just trying to think about all of them.
Better to be back home?
It's okay.
Most days.
It's okay.
Most days. Thanks for coming here. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Thanks.
Susan,
Thank you.
Phil, Jenny,
Thanks.
good luck back at college.
Thank you.
16-year-old boy who captured the nation's attention last October, Billy Best, as you may recall, ran away from his Massachusetts home, ultimately all the way to Houston, rather than bear the painful effects of chemotherapy he was undergoing to combat Hodgkin's disease, a type of cancer that's 80% curable if fully treated. He returned home almost a month later, but appeared here on Good Morning America to tell Charlie he did not want to return to the treatment being urged by his doctors.
They want me to continue with the chemotherapy and radiation, or other conventional methods of treatment.
Have they convinced you?
They haven't convinced me to do anything yet.
Billy and his parents, William and Susan Best, have since been convinced to try alternative treatments, and the Best twins this morning. Nice to have you back. Dad, before we get to the alternative treatments, I know that Billy just went through a whole bunch of tests. What were the results of those tests?
All the tests, we're happy to say, is he's cancer-free.
Cancer-free.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to just be
great.
super news to
Yeah.
you, Billy. Did you expect these results? Were you surprised by them? What were your thoughts when you heard the results, besides being delighted?
Yeah, well, I was really happy when I found out, but that is what I pretty much expected. I had a lot of faith in what I was doing,
You're right in front of the
and
camera.
so I didn't really
No.
doubt that the test would come back, like, positive.
So you thought that if you went through these alternative treatments, which is really what you wanted to do, that it would turn out this way. Are you back in school? Are you back? I know you love skateboarding. Are you back skateboarding and you're feeling good?
Yep, skateboarding every day, back in school, just like normal.
Mom, I heard you say to somebody he's a picture of health, really.
Really? Yeah, he's just doing so well. No adverse side effects whatsoever from the treatments that he's taken, so we're just thrilled.
And the lymph nodes all healing up and everything.
The lymph nodes are healing, and as we said, no cancer at all.
All right, so now what are the treatments that he's been taking?
He's basically been doing 3 different things.
Okay.
One of them is called 714X. It's an injection with camphor and nitrogen, the main ingredients.
Okay.
And then he also takes an herbal drink. It's called Eziac. And he has modified his diet quite a bit.
In what ways?
No red meat, trying to do less meat, really, than he did before. Fruits and vegetables, heavy on those. No dairy products, and watching the sugar.
And getting back to the injections in the teeth, now some of these things are things that are not available or not approved here in the United States. They come from outside the United States. How did you find out about them?
When Billy received all the attention, people began writing to us and calling us. We have 3 big boxes full of any treatment you could possibly think of, and that's how we found out.
So you just got boxes of them and boxes of them. Did this one particular thing keep cropping up? Is that how how do you decipher it all and come up with these?
It was hard to figure out. We were confused for a while which way to turn. Through a lot of prayer, our faith in God, that was the treatment that seemed to just keep coming back.
And from what I hear and reading about some of the stuff, there aren't a lot of side effects. That had to make you happy, Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said, okay, this one I'll go with. If it doesn't work out, would you eventually say, okay, I've tried that, you've done it my way, I'm willing to go now with the other way, since it is proven that there's an 80% cure rate?
If there was no other choice out there, I would definitely go back to the chemotherapy.
Okay. So that seems like a rational. Now, how are the doctors? I mean, how's the medical community reacted to this stuff?
Well, they are very happy that Billy is now cancer-free. It is a watch and wait situation. He will continue his treatment.
And how much longer? What's the...
About 3 more months is recommended. And then just keep, an eye and test every so often. But the doctors are not really saying much about the treatments that he's taking. They don't.
But they're delighted, of course, with these test results.
Right.
Well, we are delighted. It's always nice to be able to come back with a happy ending. Hope we can keep up with these kinds of reports. Billy, our best to you.
And this is Dateline NBC. Tonight,
their story captured a nation's heart. To escape